Lenormand, Beyond the Surface. Yeah, this is a little introduction video, and I'm also happy that Lenormarch is starting today. And yeah, I decided that I wanted to accompany Kelly from the Truth and Stories' gorgeous Lenormand or Lenormand challenge for March, and I wanted to accompany it with a special book I bought back last month, and this is called The Fabulous World of Lenormand, and it's by Kathleen Bergman, and yeah, she is a Lenormand reader. She is an astrologer. She knows a lot about numerology and also about tarot. So she's an expert on these topics. And yeah, originally I bought this book because it was so chunky and looked so delicious. And but then shortly after that, I found out it is not a book which is about how to learn Lenormand. It's more about the history of the symbols in the Lenormand that are used in a Lenormand and that are reoccurring in mythology, in religion, in fairy tales, and also in psychology, and so on and so forth. And she also delves into the realm of astrology only a bit. But there are a lot of interesting backgrounds here. So let's delve a bit into this fantastic book by Kathleen Bergman. It's quite a nice chunky book. It's a hardcover, as you can see. It has this kind of, Lesebändchen we call it. I really bookmark. Thank you very much. Now I know it. It's really nicely bound. It has gorgeous, you see here, gorgeous oil paintings in it, and also picture photos and so on. So one of my favorite German painters, Caspar David Friedrich. I love his paintings, really. Yeah, this book is really gorgeously made. The only downside, I told in one video already, is that there are some mistakes in terms of spelling and so on, or I can imagine that those things are just overlooked and the author just typed, and then some of these mistakes were happening. Yeah, a good beta reader would be would be nice for such a nice book. But I can overread those kind of mistakes. No problem at all. So this is like I told you, a chunky book. It's about, let's see, about the pure text, 392 pages, and this book is quite interesting because it delves into a lot of topics that you would normally don't think about in terms of Lenormand, especially those things about spirituality and psychology. Especially psychology, is something which the author found was lacking from the Lenormand, which she missed in interpreting the cards and using the cards, I mean. And she really states in that book, why not delve into that realm also. So there's something about that. Is this something about the meanings behind the symbols? These symbols are kind of universal, reoccurring symbols within mythology, within religion, within fairy tales. and also within the subconscious to some degree. And it's a really nice book. It also delves into numerology and astrology. So I have no background about numerology whatsoever, and also not in astrology. So I can only give you repeat what she is saying here. So this is quite interesting, and I really like her approach when she's talking, especially when she's talking about the usage of symbols, how the human mind is or was always for the human mind, it is always more easy to approach symbols and pictures and images than words, especially when it comes to kind of psychologically healing something. So this is quite interesting. As you can see here, Carl Gustav Jung and Sigmund Freud are also in this book. And some of those topics you will also find within tarot books and so. So this is quite interesting. So like I mentioned before, I don't know, she is also a tarot reader. So this is quite interesting. And it is interesting because she also incorporates tarot in this book. She tries to she looked at certain cards, as you can see here, and found similarities in terms of meaning. Sometimes you find one card from the tarot which has certain meanings which you can find in multiple cards of the Lenormand. And sometimes you find certain things within just one card, or you found one card that has one Lenormand card that has characteristics of several tarot cards. So this is quite interesting. Although she also admits, of course, that those systems are differing quite a lot, of course, but nonetheless, for those of you who are working also with the tarot, it might be quite interesting to learn about that more. She's telling also a bit about the playing card symbols about in this deck, but I have to admit she pays not much attention to those symbols. She has a certain she is, I don't know if she's not quite fond of them, but at the end she's still she's after all not using them. So this is something I can't tell you a lot about that. So this is something where you have to delve into for yourself and find some sources or resources for yourself to get a bit more meaning from that. Also, like I said, astrology is also not something I started to study up to this time, so I can only repeat what you will find, what I will provide you with, and what is described here in this book. If that makes sense. But I wanted to do something which is not part of this book, a bit about the background of the symbols, background about the card deck, how the card deck is looking like it's looking today. And it's quite interesting because you might, some of you, maybe not all, everyone, maybe a lot of more of you have more more language. No, I totally blank. Sorry. It's a lot of things here I try to touch on, so it's not so easy in my with my English. A lot of you might know that the cards that you're knowing today as the Petite Lenormand aren't those cards that Madame Lenormand used back in her days. That these cards came from another origin, that these had another origin, that there were certain decks before this card deck was published with the name Lenormand. This publication or this publishing of this deck, this Lenormand deck, happened long after Madame Lenormand died. So it's quite interesting to see what kind of influences are in this deck. So this is something You get also a bit about that here, a bit about her background, but only a tiny bit. Here you can see a bit about that. And she, the author here is also delving into the peoples that lived at the same time with her, not not in France, but in Europe. So she's also getting into the Brothers Grimm. And because this book is also relating Lenormand to fairy tales, this is quite an interesting little topic. But nonetheless, I have to see, I have to search the things that are more interesting, maybe, and so that this video doesn't get so lengthy. So I want to provide you with a bit of, with a few facts about Marie-Anne Lenormand, which was born in May 1772 in the Normandy and died in 1843. She had quite an age back in those days, so in Paris she died. And she was a professional, which you can read here, professional fortune teller. She was seen as the greatest cartomancer of all time in France. She gave advice to leaders of the French Revolution, which was quite interesting, and also to Empress Josephine and to Tsar Alexander I. Now, in this book here by Kathleen Bergman, there's also a bit of the topic, a bit of, she delves a bit into this kind of part of Marie-Anne Lenormand's life and reading life, where she's telling that Madame Lenormand foretold the Empress Josephine back in those days where she wasn't an empress, that she would become an empress. So this was quite interesting. And I also read in that book here that Napoleon wasn't so fond of her, although she sometimes foretold some certain victories he would achieve. This is something he was quite eager to hear or to learn about, but he was not sure about her. Back in those days, her talents were quite, although the church weren't mighty anymore through Napoleon's things he did to the church, still people were a bit superstitious about her abilities. So Napoleon was not fond, and she got in trouble for there were some incidents where she got in trouble and also were imprisoned, but not for long. So she was, like I told you, she was one of the greatest cartomancers of all time, but the deck she used was of course not the deck that we know now as Petite Lenormand. She used, it is said in this book, and I have to delve into this further, and I try to provide you with a link if I will find something about that. It is said that she probably used a deck by Jean-François Alliette, which was, or who had kind of an artist name, Attila, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's basically his last name reading the other way around. And he named himself the inventor of cartomancy. And his deck was called Petit Attila and was popular back at that time. But still, these kind of symbols were probably much older. The deck that we know now as Petite Lenormand was based on a deck which was called the Game of Hope, like I told you before. And this Game of Hope deck was created by Johann Caspar Hechtel, which was born in, we call it Nuremberg, in 1771. So you can see he's just 1 year older than she was, and he died much earlier. So you could think that she might have probably known this deck, maybe eventually she could have used this deck, because this deck, I'm not quite sure about that, because his death date is 1799, and also the publishing date of the Game of Hope is 1799. Maybe it was published in the year of his death or right after his death. I don't know. So, like you see here, he was a German businessman. He was a non-fiction writer, a designer of parlor games, and the creator of the Petite Lenormand prototype deck called Game of Hope. And this is quite the base for the Petite Lenormand. But I found something also quite interesting and spectacular while I searched for a bit more background. So I found a quite interesting blog that I will also provide you with a link in the description box, which is by Mary K. Greer, which you will all know, or who you will all know. Sorry for mispronouncing here or getting the grammar in the wrong way. So Mary K. Greer has a gorgeous tarot blog, but also on her tarot blog she has sections with Lenormand, because she's quite an also a Lenormand geek, I want to say. And I found a blog post from her or of her back from 2013 from the month of July, and this was quite interesting. A new Lenormand deck discovery, and she's also telling here about Johann Caspar Hechtel, but she found in the British Museum found a book which is from 1796, and this is called the Diversions of the Court of Vienna, in which the mystery of fortune telling from the grounds of the coffee cup is unraveled, and 3 pleasant games, and further it is saying fortune telling from the grounds of the coffee cup, fortune telling by laying out the cards. The new imperial game of numbers are invented, and so on and so forth. So you can see a bit about this here. And so this is maybe eventually the foundation from which Johann Caspar Hechtel draw from. Because this was a game which was known in Austria and probably also in Germany. So maybe he drew from that. And this is quite interesting because there are depictions of the cards. This is a 32 card deck, and oh, sorry, that was the doorbell. Back to where I was. About this kind of new Lenormand deck discovery. I thought it would be quite funny or quite a cool thing to share with you the cards. Like I told you, this system is lacking some of the cards that you know in a normal Lenormand deck, and some of the order is also changed, and it's also without the playing card associations. So I will share with you. So I will see how I will get this across so you can see the cards. So, and yeah, the order of the cards is quite different from the ones that we know. So it will start with the crossroads or the finger post, which is the path card, so to say, and the ring, of course. And there are certain you can read this here at the bottom. Certain quotes also to explain the cards a bit further. So this is starting with that. Quite familiar, those here. The clover and the ship, not the ship, the anchor. There you see. This wouldn't be quite an easy deck for a beginner because you see a ship here. And the tower, and yeah, a lot of going on here. This is quite interesting. So sometimes also the meanings are seems to be differing from a normal Lenormand deck. Not so easy. So you can see the snake as the 5th card, and the 6th one is the ladder. And here we have the 7th, the coffin. So you see, it's maybe a bit different. And the star here, the dog, and the lily. The cross is here on the 11th, and then you have the clouds, of course. Then we come to the sun. This is quite interesting. And what is also interesting here is that there are 2 tree cards in this deck. So this one is more about the labor, the pains of long effort, and so on and so forth. And the other one we will see is some kind of the resolution. I don't know, solution to it. So what you gain from long effort, from long labored effort. So you see the child, and a bit mixed up here. This is 17, this is 18. These are, I will provide you with the link for these cards too. These are copies from the British Museum. I guess it was the British Museum. I should have looked that up. Yeah, it's the British Museum, and you can watch them there also a bit closer and so on. Here you can see there's the man, and there is the rider. So the rider is on the 20th position here. This is quite interesting. And then we have, of course, the mouse and the birch rod or the whip. Birch rod. Then we have the flower and the heart. The garden and the bird or turtle dove. And then we have also a change. Here you can see the fish and the lion. So the lion transformed into the bear, basically. This is what Mary Kay Greer is telling here in her blog post. And then we have the last 2. There you see the second tree card. This is kind of prosperous card, the result of one's labor here. This is insisting money. This is quite an interesting card here. This is called the worms or the vipers or the bugs, which, yeah, something which you never saw before in this kind of way in a Lenormand deck. So this was not interesting enough. So here you have the house, and here you have finally the scythe. So the cards that are missing from this deck are basically fox, book, letter, stork, and key. So this is still quite an amazing found. I was quite happy for that. I have to delve into this a bit further, because this was a found which I did really on the last days or so. But it's quite an interesting thing. So I guess I will finish this now. As I told you, there will be a lot of things that I will delve into with this kind of book. The kind of tarot associations that she's bringing up here are also quite interesting, although the systems are differing. But she's quite skilled in what she's telling here, and I quite like the way she writes her stuff, and I really also liked the things that she was telling about the language of symbols in one of the earlier chapters, and the kind of introduction chapter. I tried to find what I noted here because it was so interesting. That she's telling here, this is something which this will be the finishing touch on this video, although it might be looking quite convoluted. She's telling here about that symbols are always played a big important role in human history, and there was an interesting sentence. I try to find it genau. talk German again. When dealing with the energies of the soul, images are often telling us more than words. And I really love that quote. I really love that quote because this is so resonating, I guess, with all of us who are doing cartomancy, I guess, or yeah, playing with symbols or something like that for insights and for soul discovery and so on and so forth. So this is quite an interesting, oh, you can see here, John Waterhouse is also quite referred to here. So this will be an interesting journey with all of us. I hope this video won't be that long, because I have to split it up in certain parts here in this kind of filming, in this filming environment with all the disturbance here. I will see how long this will take, and I will try to, this is also gorgeous, so I will delve into these kind of things with you in the next videos, and I will provide you with at least 2 cards per video, in the same manner. I guess I told you that in the beginning of the video, but in the same manner, to repeat it again, in the same manner like Kelly provides it in her Lenormarch challenge. So I hope you enjoyed this kind of all over the place kind of introduction. And yeah, I'm really excited to delve into this with you together, and also into Lenormarch, and we will see you soon. So have a nice day or peaceful night. Bye!